Instagram.
Instagram.
Who would have thought? I don't even know what that is. I thought it was just for like attention whore girls.
Instagram is, I guess, the new big thing.
I guess I heard Facebook is dying. They made a joke on MTV Scream. By the way, if you haven't watched it, it's a really fun guilty pleasure.
MTV still around?
MTV is still around, and they have a show, Scream. We're very off topic at the start of the video.
What's up, guys?
Usually we make it a little ways in before we get off topic.
Yeah.
Anyway, in Scream, they make a joke, a quip about how no one uses Facebook anymore. And that for the first time in my life, I felt kind of old.
Yeah.
Because Facebook really.
I thought Facebook was still like the thing.
I guess so, but according to the high school kids in Scream, it's not.
What is it now?
Probably Instagram. I think you're completely right. That's the new social media.
Is Instagram and Twitter the new thing? Right. 5 out of 10.
The youth on our channel let us know. So today's topic, really broad one, but we get asked in one way or 90 different ways a lot of times. What's your collection goal? Like when you go out every week, what's the end game for you?
The end game is to basically get games I don't have. That's about it.
That's very broad.
The end game. I'm looking for everything. I'm looking for DS to like sit down and play. I'm looking for PlayStation 1 to occasionally, put in the system. NES games I'm gonna stare at on my wall and then throw in the system maybe once in a while. Just looking for games I don't have. Just everything. Just everything.
I was exactly like that probably 2.5 years ago collecting. If I don't own it, I'm gonna buy that. Yep. I don't own that, I'm gonna buy it.
That's what I still do.
Regrettably, space becomes a big issue later on.
Yes and no. I mean, you could put like the shelves.
I could put shelves and stuff on here.
That's what I need to do.
But for me now, it's much more. I collect for a more practical reason. Will I actually want to play this game in a year? Will I want to play it sometime in my life? And if the answer is no, and the game's not worth anything, it's probably gonna get left behind.
If a game isn't worth anything, I usually will leave it behind just because I know I can pick it up later online for cheaper and usually better condition than whatever's at the yard sale. And I've got a limited amount of money at the yard sale, but my credit card has a lot more money on it than what's in my pocket. So yeah, I'm about the same way. But for NES games, like that's kind of a bit different. Like even if it's not worth a ton of money, I'll still want to pick it up just because it is an NES game. If it's like a DS game that isn't worth that much, I'll go pick it up later.
Right. NES games too. How often are you going to see lots of NES games at the sales? Very rarely anymore. And the NES has several thousand games in its library.
It has a ton of games for it, and the values just keep going up and down and up and down.
Crazy.
And it's just you don't know what's going to happen to this game. You don't know what it's going to be worth in the next couple weeks. So I usually just snag it. Right. And speaking of NES games, I've been playing the hell out of the Punch-Out game.
Right, the Mike Tyson one. Thank you for all the subscribers that let us know the difference between the two, because I always thought they were the same game.
I thought they were too, but I did go home and I realized I had Punch-Out, and now I have Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. So now I've got both of them.
So the collection increases.
So I guess Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is the easier one.
I don't know. From what I understand, it's a pretty similar game.
Yeah. The only difference is that Mike Tyson is at the end, whereas Mr. Dream is at the end. Of the
contract and issues, of course. I'm sure he was very expensive to keep on.
Not anymore.
One last touch up on this. Any individual games that you're like you have a top 3 games that you're looking for?
Well, now after watching that Castlevania video, it reminded me of the Castlevania DS games I had and how much fun I had with them. Right. I want Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo. I want the Castlevania games in the DS. And I'm trying to think of another game I've been looking for. Oh god, there's been some that have been on my mind. There's not.
So you want the Castlevania, or the Castlevania-oid? How would you pronounce it? The Metroid Castlevania games. Yeah. Basically, it's the ones you want. Which are the great ones? The Symphony of the Night, Game Boy Advance, DS, the old you get abilities and weapons as you progress.
Exactly. Because I have all the NES ones. So.
Right. It's not more linear like the NES ones where it's just left to right. Yeah. With bad guys.
Metroidvania. Right,
Metroidvania. That's much better. I call it Castlevania-oid or something.
Castlevania-oid?
Sounds like a hemorrhoid ointment. My goal, perfectly on the same plane, and it's a common game, cannot find it anywhere, is Metroid Zero Mission. Kind of a spiritual remake of the first Metroid.
What is that on?
It came out on Game Boy Advance. In fact, I think I have the... Yeah,
do you have Metroid Fusion?
Yeah, I have Metroid Fusion, but I've never found Metroid Zero Mission.
That's cool, you just get the manual.
I played it a ton as a kid, and I want to replay it. Again, it's a remake, but not a direct pound for pound remake of the NES one, but it came out on the Game Boy Advance, and obviously it came out on the 16-bit system or 32-bit system. What was the Game Boy Advance? It was 16-bit, right? NES is 8-bit. Super Nintendo 16-bit. I think so. I'm not positive. PlayStation was 32-bit.
I think.
And 64 was 64-bit.
I think Super Nintendo was 32-bit.
You might be right.
I might be wrong.
But it came out. It was a more powerful engine than the NES, so it was a more powerful. It was a better run game than the NES, and save spots and stuff, which the NES didn't have. It had the little passcode. Like, put in your passcode now to get halfway through the game.
Yeah.
Back to where you were.
Passcodes were a pain in the ass.
The last game I'm interested. I really want to find. Had a copy, got rid of it. The Fire Emblem on GameCube. And you remember a clever story about that. In fact, we'll save the story.
God.
I think we'll save the story for our near misses at Garage Sale episode.
For the Find Site?
It's not going to be on. There's no spy cam footage about it, so. Well, I guess we'll just talk about it now because there's no spy cam footage. But we went out, community cell, and it was one of those weird things where the people invited me into their house. You were down the street at another group
I was
of cells.
driving around, looking at sales.
You were at another group of cells or something. I went up into their house. They invited me upstairs, and upstairs is just this awesome shelf, probably about like this shelf, just one of these generic Walmart shelves, with a bunch of GameCube and Wii games. All amazing games.
Awesome.
Mario Karts, Fire Emblem on the GameCube, Super Smash Bros. Melee. There's just a bunch of value, great titles, nice condition. The mom is so close to selling me these things. She's so close. She's like, the kids have moved away. They don't play any of this stuff. I think we could let it go. And then out of nowhere comes this teenage daughter. It's like 8 a.m. on a Saturday. What kid in high school or college is awake at this time? In their rational mind, she comes up and she says, "Oh no, we're not going to sell any of this stuff." And she just
every single time, like, it never stops hurting hearing that story because
it still bothers me. At least she weren't on the front lines. At least she just read the paper about it the next day. But being there was all this stuff just within reach, and then just someone just slaps your arm away.
I remember like the somber expression you had in your face when you got in my car. You're just like,
"Oh, fan! I almost had the find of the week and the find of the year." And
yeah, that's another series I'm collecting for is the Fire Emblem series.
Yeah.
Not just because they're valuable, but because they're also really fun games.
Right. It's really fun. Top-down, like, I don't want to call it an RTS, but it's a strategy game. A lot like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Strategy RTS?
Something like
Turn-based RTS? Or, no, it wouldn't be RTS.
A lot of dialogue. You have to be into the dialogue. And then reproduction now.
Yeah, now there's reproduction. You, like, make the kids, and they go back, and then you use the kids, and they have better traits. And I don't...
And then there's gay marriage now in the upcoming one.
Is there really?
I'm not making that up. I hope there's no gay reproduction, because that'd be weird. That's it for this video.